Tonight, Nandi family discover elderly woman in a pool of blood. Government forges closer bilateral relations with Mauritius. And NGO launches research report on the local media. Very good evening. Leading this bulletin, the Nakabu settlement in Nandi is in shock tonight over the alleged murder of an elderly woman. A 55-year-old widow was found in a pool of blood inside her home by her son. Police are now looking for a 34-year-old suspect. Our West reporter Bulletin with the details.
Hamidan Bano was found in a pool of blood yesterday evening by her son upon arriving back from work. It is alleged that the murder could be linked to a possible land dispute. Witnesses say a nephew who lives 2 houses away from the crime scene was alleged to have been intoxicated when he entered the widow's home at around 11 a.m. yesterday. The alleged murder was not known until the return of the victim's son from work. It is believed the nephew in question answered to the knock of the woman's son and offered money to the son to buy alcohol. The son forced his way into the home and found his mother in a pool of blood. This morning, a police forensic team entered the home to conduct their investigations, combing through the home and nearby areas for evidence. The 30-year-old nephew is still at large while police investigations continue. Bulletin, Fiji One News.
Meanwhile, the search continues for the 34-year-old suspect who has been on the run since last night. Police spokesperson Anane Soro told Fiji One News a team has been tasked to lead the investigation. Statements of several witnesses have been recorded in relation to the homicide. Police investigations are continuing. The driver of the truck involved in the horrific accident in Shalimar Street and the capital yesterday has been released by police. It's not known whether charges, if any, will be laid. Meanwhile, the 2 children who were trapped inside one of the vehicles have been discharged from the CWM hospital. However, their parents remain under observation. Police investigations continue. Foreign Minister Ratu Inoke Kumbuombolo has briefed the Secretariat of the Melanesian Spearhead Group on the recent controversial trip by MSG foreign ministers to Indonesia. The visit to Indonesia was aimed at assessing the West Papua National Coalition for Liberation's bid for MSG membership, but it was boycotted by Vanuatu. Ratu Inoke met the Director General and staff of the Secretariat to discuss developments within the MSG and the upcoming events and activities for the year. Kumbuombolo also met Vanuatu's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Edward Natape. The Citizens Constitutional Forum is now equipped to better advocate to the general public. This is after this morning's launch of their research paper, giving detailed facts on how they can better their skills in reaching to the public through the media.
The CCF now has a clearer picture on how to get their messages across to the general public through the media. This is after a 2012 and 2013 survey to gauge the public's perception of the CCF's key messages.
The CCF needs to work better on where it places its messages in the media. Also looked at why the media appears to be reluctant to run the CCF message. And we also looked at what can be done in order to improve the CCF's visibility in the local media.
Survey author Netani Rika's report titled Changing Lenses surveyed just under 400 people as a snapshot of public feedback.
We looked at a sample of 388 people throughout Fiji, or in the central, western and northern divisions, in order to find out what the public perception was of CCF and its messages.
One of the survey's key findings was that the lack of the CCF's popularity in the local media was due to the CCF's critical advocacy of the current administration.
Being able to identify which are the more widely read, which is the more widely read newspaper, which is the more viewed TV station and radio station, and based on that, then CCF should be able to determine where it spends its advertising dollar in order to place his message.
The CCF-funded survey also concluded that with elections looming, there could be more opportunities for open and free political debate.
We hold a workshop, one full-day workshop in mid-February, and we will invite those who have read particularly those who have read the survey. It's available, it's free, and based on that, when they're informed about the content of the survey, we hope that they will come better equipped to help us to work together on how to move things forward.
The survey says this is also a unique opportunity for NGOs like the CCF to effectively use our various media outlets to get their message across the masses. Reviva for all, Fiji One News.
And as expected, there was some mixed reaction to the CCF Changing Lances survey findings, but most agree that it should serve as a compass for budding journalists on how to report on both sides of any issue, regardless of the political climate they find themselves working under.
First glancing on the explanation given today, it does show that journalists and editors in particular are exercising extreme caution and in some instances probably self-censoring, and there are many reasons for that. Some because of commercial pressure, commercial reasons, pressure from the government. So, I mean, it's not surprising that the survey shows these results.
But others believe the survey also reflects on the role the media needs to play in national development.
Good step in the right direction, in the sense that CCF wants the public, the people that they serve, help formulate and bring the material more contextual to them, to make it more applicable to the public.
With the 2013 Constitution promoting a free press, there is also the view that the local media need to take this role more seriously.
If individual journalists work together and try to reason with the editors about why they should be done. I mean, we now have a constitution that guarantees us freedom of expression, so there's no reason why we should be self-censoring or we should be afraid to report and highlight things that the government ought to know.
The government has now forged closer trade relations with Mauritius. Attorney General Ayasad Qayyum met with his Mauritian counterpart, Syed Abdelkader Syed, in Bangalore yesterday. Both governments have agreed to finalize a memorandum of understanding to allow close cooperation between Investment Fiji and the Mauritian Bureau of Investments. The AG is in India attending the Confederation of Indian Industry Partnership Summit. The MOU is expected to improve the ease of doing business in both countries. Syed Qayyum also briefed the Mauritian minister on the preparations for the upcoming elections. Still to come, road speed limit on this stretch under debate. And provincial councils take climate change awareness to communities. Hello again. The debate on the review of the road speed limits on our national highways continues. In light of the recent spate of road accidents, the Land Transport Authority says public safety will not be compromised.
The current speed limits could soon change for these stretch. LTA has confirmed some concern have been raised on reviewing the speed limits, especially so for the Suvarnasori and Nandi Superhighway.
Yes, we see a lot of overspeeding problems still on our roads. You know that we've done our speed review. You know there's questions on some of these areas, a portion of the roads where probably we need to do a little bit of amendment in terms of increasing, or some that we will still be saying let's maintain that level or we have to drop it down.
A major concern in relation to increasing the speed limit is the number of accidents on our roads.
So we want to have a holistic approach this year by addressing, try to have a balanced approach on all the classes, the drivers, the passengers, and the pedestrians. If we're able, to address these smartly, I am 100% sure that we can really drop the figure this year.
Which is why the road regulator has taken a proactive approach when it comes to road awareness.
Most of the emphasis will be on road safety. Road safety, because customer service is one area too that we all looking forward to in terms of our improvement. And that is really given us a lot of headache, a lot of sweat this year as we put our plans together. And we also want to see that workers and officers of LTA right in their toes as we all push for a great kickoff for 2014.
Fiji One News.
The country's first cancer facility could soon be taking shape. As Absalom Rambo explains, the Health Ministry is hoping to establish the facility here with international expertise.
Fiji will soon have its own cancer treatment facility. The Health Ministry is now waiting on Cabinet to finalize its plans on a local radio-oncology unit.
And thereafter we will prepare our documentation to meet the Atomic Energy Commission and agency.
Expressions of interest will soon be put out to various international organizations in partner with local health stakeholders.
Quite dramatically, we're seeing a lot more cancer in women, breast cancer. Our cancer cervix is a huge clinical load. It adversely affects the families and the individuals. It affects our nation.
Representatives from the International Atomic Energy Commission will be here in the country in March to assist in the establishment of a cancer hospital.
We're waiting for them. They will be here in last week of March, and once we've met with them, we've discussed them, we have a position paper, then we move forward.
Absalom Rambo, Fiji One News.
Representatives from provincial councils have gathered in the capital to map out strategies to deal with the impacts of climate change. Provincial councils are hoping to place conservation officers within each district to raise more awareness on the issue. Drew Kelangi reports.
Priorities for provincial councils are slowly now changing thanks to the impacts of climate change. While economical and traditional issues have always topped the agenda, how changing climate conditions affect villages has become all the more crucial.
It was obvious that the development interests and needs of Itaukei have shifted from the usual traditional ones to new and what we call emerging issues. Apart from economic and business-related issues, environment topped the list from the analysis.
Which is why the role of the conservation officers has become necessary.
The impacts of climate change on the indigenous interests, disaster preparedness and planning, pre- and post-disaster and rehabilitation, food security, RED Plus programs, illegal and irresponsible extraction of their natural resources, including mangrove, gravel, sand, soil, forest, and marine resources.
The major task for those leading the charge is to ensure villagers understand the importance of protecting the environment.
In 2014, we will be providing environmental programs to all provinces in Fiji, incorporating conservation awareness and education into these programs. This education and awareness will include trainings for all the provinces, including the Assistant Roko, members of the Provincial Council, Tikina Council representatives, Turani Koro, women and youth.
8 out of the 14 provinces have conservation officers working in the provincial office. Drew Kelangi, Fiji One News.
Employees of Fiji Water that were made redundant 3 years ago received a bonus payout today. 85 workers from Rombulu, Ndroniivi, Tongavere and other surrounding villages received their payments last year in December and earlier this month. Around $40,900 were paid out in compensation. Labour Minister Choni Usamate says his complaints resolutions team were able to reach an agreement with the Fiji Water management. Accountants were briefed on the recent tax changes implemented by the taxman here in the capital. The Fiji Institute of Accountants held a special seminar at the Reserve Bank of Fiji this afternoon. Up for discussion were changes to withholding tax, capital gains tax and other forms of taxes. The FIA also discussed how FICA would implement the changes.
The penalties, that it would also look at the tax liability of the current year and not merely at the last assessment. So surely if your last assessment is 200,000, but your current assessment is 100,000, they can't be trying to impose penalties on 200,000. It's just an observation.
Sure. Yep.
I think FERCA needs to consider this very carefully. And I'm quite sure that they would be willing to look at that. But with recent encounters with some of the executives, the way they have been responding to us, it's just surprising, no?
Villagers of Nandarivatu now no longer have to travel far to get fresh bread. This was made possible after the opening of their very own bakery, thanks to help from the government. Now the village in Tavua does not have to wait for days to get bread.
We hardly get bread here in Nandarivatu. If you need bread in Nandarivatu, you need to go right down to Tavua to get bread for 2 days or 3 days.
This initiative by government was widely welcomed by the people of Nandarivatu.
I am really thankful for the government of the day as we come and witness all their works in their strive to help the people of our land.
The Permanent Secretary for Ministry for Social Welfare, Dr. Joseph Bueta, opened the bakery. Schools that fail to meet occupational health and safety standards could have their government grants withheld. The Education Ministry says it will come down hard on schools that aren't OHS compliant. This is due to the asbestos issue at the Nasinu Secondary School and the fire at Ratu Kandawalewa School.
All schools, committees that run them, and the teachers have been told the percentage of the grant that they can use, for certain things that they do in the schools.
Schools, the onus is now on school stakeholders to ensure all OHS requirements are met.
We will have a look at the use of those grants towards the end of this term before we issue the second term grants to the schools.
Community health officers will soon be commissioned to rural communities to help them deal with non-communicable diseases. The Health Ministry is hoping the proactive approach will empower people to lead healthier lives. Apisalome Rambo has more.
Taking healthy living initiatives right down to the people. That's what community health is all about. The idea is to ensure public health themes are less clinical and more friendly and approachable.
We're looking at developing community health workers in peri-urban Suva, in the Suva-Nasori corridor.
A team of community health officers have recently completed their initial basic phase of hands-on training.
Further training is being undertaken for them. And thereafter, they will be commissioned in a couple of weeks, and then they will serve with the district and zone nurses.
Dr. Sharma admits it's not always easy to change people's attitude towards healthy living.
So it's important to be able to take the message to the people in the environment and to be able to address the social determinants of health so that they understand, they become healthy, they eat healthy, exercise and look after themselves and not become ill and unwell and then turn up when they are terminally ill to the hospital.
The Ministry of Health will be relying on these community health workers to be its ears and eyes in the community. Apisalome Rambo, Fiji One News.
Stay with us, we have regional news coming up. The Papua New Guinea Prime Minister has apologized to the people of Bougainville on behalf of his government for the horrors of the Bougainville conflict. According to the Post Courier, Peter O'Neill has also promised $640,000 to Bougainville to help with reconciliation ceremonies. O'Neill was speaking in Mbuka on the first day of an historic 3-day tour of PNG's autonomous region. The President of Bougainville, John Momis, thanked the PM, saying the gesture marked a new beginning and was a sign of cooperation and collaboration in Bougainville's development. Vanuatu Speaker of Parliament Philip Bodoro has requested 50 cars from a high-level Chinese delegation currently visiting Port Vila. The delegation was invited by Bodoro to enhance cooperation between the countries. Vanuatu's Parliament House was funded and built by China. Bodoro has requested the 50 cars for use by the visiting parliamentarians attending the Africa, Caribbean, Pacific and European Union Joint Parliamentary Assembly session in Port Vila in November this year. And remember, you can view tonight's Fiji One News Bulletin on our website at www.fijione.tv. You can also watch previous news bulletins as well as our current affairs, business and sports shows. You can now also get news headlines directly to your mobile phones. To subscribe, just text SUB space FTV News to 777 and you can get news and sports headlines via SMS. You have up till the end of this month to sign up for free subscriptions. From next month, charges will apply. You can view our terms and conditions on our website. Fiji Television's pay TV service Sky Pacific today launched its brand new call centre. On hand to do the honours were members of the Fiji TV Board of Directors, including parent company Fijian Holdings Chairman Iowani Naibeli and Chief Executive Officer Nuzab Farid. The new call centre basically centralises all customer queries into one hub. The call centre will operate on a 24-hour basis and will, for the first time, allow Sky Pacific's thousands of customers, not just nationwide, but also Pacific-wide, a much faster turnaround time in dealing with concerns or queries. Sky Pacific says this is part of a long-term plan to better service its rapidly expanding customer base. The Sky Pacific team will meanwhile be in Keasi this Friday and Singatok on Saturday as part of its regular roadshow. The Housing Authority has a new chairman. He is Narendra Prasad. Prasad replaces Colonel Mosese Tikuitonga. Prasad also becomes chairman of the Public Rental Board. Prasad brings with him a wealth of financial and operational experience and was previously CEO of the authority between 1999 and 2003. We go to Myra now with sports. We seem to be losing all our local coaches. Now, our sporting federation is getting rid of the local coaches in a bid to use the overseas granting
Apparently so, Billy. I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but the Sports Commission has already approved several grants to a few sporting federations to enable them to get overseas coaches and replacing the local coaches. That's coming up in sports. Also tonight, Fiji Sevens hopes to bounce back and former football coach back in Lambasa.